Hello and welcome back to TeaBookClub. We're on to a new book now. We had our session on the end of March for the previous book, Story of Japanese Tea. It was really great to meet up with people around the world and discuss and share our thoughts on the book and the stories and things that we enjoyed about it. If you're interested in viewing that or seeing what we thought, then of course all members of TeaBookClub have access to the videos that we record when we do our monthly sessions. We're now on to our new cycle, so we will read the next book over the next 2 months, and we will have a social meetup at the end of this month, so that will be the end of April. We'll have a social meetup, and at the end of May we will have the formal meetup to discuss and share our thoughts on the book. But what is the book? So I'm really excited by this one because it's been on my reading list since it came out. This is Tales of the Tea Trade by Michelle and Rob Comins. Michelle and Rob have a Comins tea shop, which you can find online at the moment, since we have to be all online at the moment with Corona. But they have a shop in Bath, which I visited, which is absolutely lovely, and a second shop in Dorset. When I met Michelle a couple of years ago, when I went up to Bath, it was lovely to hear her talk about the stories and some of the people that they've met over the course of their travels. And I just knew that when this book came out, that was going to be what we were going to get, would be this lovely connection with the people and the stories that they've gathered as they've travelled the world in search of beautiful, beautiful teas. So rather than reading from the very beginning of the book, which I think is really nice for you to actually explore yourself and read Michelle and Rob's story and their introduction to tea in general, I'm going to jump in a little further on where there's a rather interesting story, and this is one of the things that I think is going to be so great about this book, is these really personal stories of Michelle and Rob's travels and the people and the environments that they encountered. So I'm jumping in at page 21. We'll just put the timer on for 5 minutes. Page 21, soil. Soil and subsoil quality are crucial to the growth of the tea plant. The soil needs to support the roots and contain the nutrients, minerals and moisture required for growth. The prime conditions are an acidic soil pH 4.5 to 5.5, a level that aids the absorption of the nutrients. A loose soil covered in a good layer of leaf and plant litter, which allows a supporting root depth of just under 2 meters and drains well but retains moisture well, is also preferable. These elements differ vastly between regions, but the great adaptability of the tea plant means that it can thrive in very different conditions. On our tea trips, the climate, latitude and altitude of a tea farm are clear, but soil is more difficult to understand immediately. Over time, the way a tea farmer feels about their soil and how they answer our questions about it has become a critical element in our buying decisions. It's a topic we've become quite obsessed with, and we have thought a lot about how to engage consumers about tea and soil, since the tea fields are a long way from our doorsteps. To better understand this topic, it makes sense to bring it a little closer to home. One summer day, we visited one of our partners, Dean's Court in Dorset, where we met horticulturalist Teresa Costa. Teresa explained, soil is a very complex and delicate system composed of water, a mixture of mineral particles, organic matter, gases, chemicals, and a variety of living organisms. A healthy, thriving soil system, she told us, hosts a blooming community of soil organisms, has a high content of organic matter and balanced levels of chemicals, gases, and nutrients. A healthy soil will allow plants to defend themselves from most pests and diseases and adapt to the surrounding changing environment. Thus, the quality of the soil is intimately entwined with the quality of any crop. Soil's capacity to produce abundant, high-quality produce is directly connected to the life present in it. If we disrupt this delicate system, it will have serious repercussions on crop production. All over the world, we see the soil associated with conventionally farmed land getting poorer, compacted, and eroded. We are losing topsoil every year at a rate never seen before, which jeopardizes wildlife, ecosystems, and climate. Soil erosion is the biggest threat to the sustainability of agriculture around the world. Teresa made the solution clear. We need to take care of biodiversity and soil to regenerate our farming systems and decrease our dependence on chemicals. Healthy soils support healthy plants, and healthy plants support healthy human life. Fukuoka Prefecture, Eating Soil with Mr. Toshiro. And there's a picture of Mr. Toshiro. Rob, I will never forget my visit to Mr. Toshiro's field in Fukuoka Prefecture, Kyushu Island, Japan. It was the first time I had deliberately ate soil, which I was surprised to find I enjoyed. The field, an old mandarin orange field, was one of 4 making up Mr. Toshiro's 2-hectare farm, which is accessed by a road he built himself. Mr. Toshiro started out as a fruit and vegetable farmer, but after a bout of ill health and discovering the health-giving qualities of green tea, he set out to produce the healthiest teas he could, with no chemicals to be added. For him, the starting with one thing, the soil. He explained, soil feels elastic and smells sweet if it is supported by many kinds of microbes living together in optimal balance. Microbes increase minerals and other useful ingredients in soil, strengthen its resistance against pests, and keep it in good health. Delicious vegetables grow in good soil. That is eventually good for your health too. This is why we dwell on soil cultivation. He described how 1 gram of soil contains 1 billion bacteria, and that the fertilizer he makes is for these bacteria, not the tea plants. Feeding the bacteria maintains the life cycle and balance of the soil, resulting in better tea plants. It was at this point that Mr. Toshiro gestured for me to push my hand into the soil, which I did until I was past his elbow. The light, aerated, soft soil offered little resistance. On removing my arm, I was instructed to taste the soil, which I did without hesitation. How could something that was growing such healthy plants be anything but good for me? It tasted sweet, soft, and gritty. If it hadn't been gritty, I would probably have gone back for another handful. We walked around his picturesque field and saw where the wild boar had dug up a section and the deer had nibbled the leaves. This is nature, said Mr. Toshiro. He pointed out an area of wilderness at the very top of his field and told me that it was to prevent landslides. It absorbs the water and the trees bind the soil together. He showed me a sign indicating that the garden is organic, JAS, Japanese Agricultural Standards Certified, and it tells me that his was the first tea garden in Japan to achieve this. Now I'll just read the next paragraph just to finish that section, although our 5 minutes is up. Mr. Toshiro's approach has not been the easiest path. When he started, he told me the surrounding farmers didn't understand about pesticides and organic cultivation, so the slopes were starting to get into bad condition. Growing organically is a life choice, so we spent 5 years building strongly, and over the course of 5 more years I finally made tea. He found, however, that the tea he was producing was not selling at all, so he worked patiently and continued to wait. But the number of customers increased little by little, they started visiting, and a regular customer base grew. It took around 12 years to be successful, he explained. I am sincerely thankful that so many customers are pleased with my tea and will continue to make safe and delicious tea. We returned to his tasting room and sampled some of the most flavoursome Japanese teas I've ever tasted, and it made perfect sense. Because Mr. Toshiro has control over every stage of production, undertaking the growing and picking himself and closely overseeing the processing at a nearby factory. He sells the tea himself online and wholesale to hotels and restaurants. One of his clients, the top hotel in nearby Fukuoka, which is so determined to get the best tea that it sends 50 of its staff out to the field to help out each year, at a time when extra hands are very much needed. This is how valued his approach is. Now, I think that was an absolutely lovely story, and I'm really looking forward to discovering more of those stories as we work through the book. If you've enjoyed that 5-minute reading from Tales of the Tea Trade by Michelle and Rob Comins, then join me with TeaBookClub. Every week I do a 5-minute reading. You'll find links to join TeaBookClub and get the member benefits in the links below, and you can also find us on Instagram at Join TeaBookClub. Thank you.